What's up, everyone? How you guys doing? And in today's video, I really wanted to start this new series. It's supposed to be I spent a week with said character. Unfortunately, it's been 2 weeks since Xilonen released, so obviously didn't spend a week. I spent more than that. But really, I just wanted to make a video series starting with like the new characters, in this case Xilonen, and talk about how I feel about using those characters. I think the problem with guides is that guide videos tend to give you like the numbers and like, oh, use this set, use this stat, kind of thing. But I think that while that is good, I think it's really important to know how a character feels, in the overworld, how a character feels in team comms, stuff like that. And I think that this is hopefully something that will be good, in the future, right? Instead of just telling me like build this, but actually go through and play the game and talk about my experiences with said character. So yeah, let's get this video started. Let's not talk too much about it. But before I begin, do know that I stream live on Twitch, link in the description below, and let's start. Alrighty, so I don't want to really talk too much about Xilonen's build and stuff. Xilonen, let's talk some things about her, right? 5-star Geo Sword character from Netland. A main part of the kit is the skill, which gives her the defensive shred at 36% at max level, which is the main part of the kit. It's really nice. Well, obviously, elemental shred means that your other elements do a lot more damage. That's mainly for pyro, electro, cryo, and hydro, and also geo. Right, so I think people always skip out it, but Geo also gets shredded, right? Even though it doesn't really show, Geo is actually counted as a shreddable or a elemental resistance decreasable element. So something to really take note of. And her ult is healing, right? She heals, that's very nice. But just like with all Netland characters, right, they all have very nice travel mechanics. And I think just to show you how this works, let me just put Kachina into this team. And yeah, honestly, Xilonen feels like an upgraded Kachina that we got for free in 5.0, right? Obviously, and of course, like both of them travel very well across land, right? I'm able to switch with Kachina, right, with the Nightsoul's blessing. Right, and then when I'm ready, I can switch to another character. I can also do this with Morlani as well. I just don't have her. I lost my 50-50 to what did my 50-50 to? I lost my 50-50 to Chi-Chi. So unfortunately, Chi-Chi cost me Morlani, which is sad. But that being said, right, I think that you can see from here, right, that you're able to switch. Obviously I don't have enough Night Soul. I just need to find one of those petrol stations. I don't know what it's called. So anyways, as I was saying, going through Netland, right, especially in the early stages, there's a lot of high walls, a lot of high mountains. So definitely very nice if you're able to climb them out fast. And Xilonen is actually able to do so. So I'm able to climb out walls very nicely, right? And of course, because of the mechanic with Kachina, I'm also able to switch out of her when I want to, which is very nice, right? And of course, this doesn't just mean like, oh, I'm just able to like climb up, right? Let's say if I wanted to climb up with let's do it with Yelan, right? Let's do this with Yelan. So let me just climb up closer. All right, so let's say I'll climb up this wall, right? It's super high, and I climb up with Yelan. And you know what? It takes very slow, a lot of stamina. I'm able to switch to Kachina, obviously. I probably should have switched to Xilonen just to showcase, right? That was my bad. Right, I switched to Kachina, but I need more climbing. And I switched to Xilonen. And Xilonen's actually a lot faster, right? And she's able to actually like jump higher, right? Which is actually very nice. She changes the cheetah. And even when she's in her right, even when get away from the enemy, but even when she's in this stage, like, she's actually able to sprint, which is something that Kachina actually can't do. Kachina can't sprint, right? But Xilonen can actually. Obviously, it consumes energy and more Night Souls and more Phlogiston, but it definitely helps out a lot in traveling across the world of Netland in particular, right? Obviously, you can do that for other nations, but just like the other characters from Netland, your Phlogiston will run out faster, or your Night Soul's Blessing will run out a lot faster when you're outside of Netland as opposed to being in it. So that's something to take note. Although I will say that for Xilonen in particular, her let's travel to just Fontaine, right? For Xilonen in particular, it's not as bad as, let's say, like Mualani traveling on water. If you guys have Mualani travel on water outside, you know that it like runs out in like 5 seconds. Whereas like for Xilonen, right, it's actually pretty decent amount of time, right? Like I say, you can still jump and hop and stuff like that. So it's actually not that bad. Obviously, this is like not as tall as the mountain that I climb. But then again, the only places with tall mountains are Netland and to a certain extent Liyue. In terms of expedition, in terms of travel, it definitely helps out a lot. You know, she's actually very, very nice to traverse the world around. And with this Night Soul Blessings mechanic, obviously it gets a lot better once we get more characters into the game. We know that Chaska and Auroran are coming. You know, we know that Malvika is coming. We know that eventually Sitlali is coming. So it'll be nice to see what happens when those characters come. Okay, so that is that for travel. Like I said, I really like the travel mechanics with the team. Definitely helps out a lot in traveling around the world, climbing around mountains, all that good stuff. Now let's talk about the team comp stuff, right? So earlier when I mentioned about Xilonen, right? When I mentioned about Xilonen about the skill, right? The elemental rest decrease, the elemental rest threat, requires you to have 2 of the crystallizable elements, all right, for you to have the rest threat. So that means that you have to have at least 2 members of Pyro, Electro, Cryo, and Hydro, right? So honestly, one of the most important things that comes to Xilonen is about the team building, right? If I were to say like, I put in like Navia and I put in let's put in Zhongli, for example. Where's Zhongli? Oh, there it is. Right, let's put in this team comp. Obviously, I'm not gonna get a shred because I don't meet the 2 elements requirement or the 2 teammate requirement, right? So something to really take note of. That being said, I think that Xilonen does fit into a lot of teams once you have that requirement set up. Obviously, she's not going to work for animal characters. She's not going to work for physical characters. She's not going to work for dendro characters. But for team comps of the other 4 elements, I think that, or it includes a Geo, so 5 elements, right? I think that she does it very, very well, right? And of course, then comes the comparison with Xilonen and Kazuha. So I think just as a reminder for people who do not know, Kazuha has access to the Very Distant Venerer, which is one of the best sets in the game even up to now. Basically the 4-piece shreds the elements that is being swirled, right? So you can see that it's very similar to Xilonen's skill, right? The only difference is that Xilonen's skill is 36 for 15 seconds, while Kazuha's or the VV set is basically 40% for 10 seconds. Obviously, Kazuha has more things. Kazuha has grouping. Kazuha has the ability to increase the elemental damage for the swallowable element, depending on his elemental mastery, right? So that's where this damage bonus comes about, whereas Xilonen provides healing instead. Now, when it comes to Xilonen versus Kazuha, right, a lot of people are definitely asking, okay, who's better, Kazuha or Xilonen? And in my opinion, it doesn't matter. Now, that may sound like a cop-out answer, like, oh my god, you just like Kazuha so much, so you're copping out. In my opinion, no, right? I don't think that's the case, because let me tell you why, right? Because Kazuha and Xilonen do not work in the same scenarios all the time. Now, yes, they can work in the same team comps, right? They can work with, like, for example, in this Alakino, Yelan, and Bennett team comp, I can run Xilonen, I can run Kazuha, right? And both will do fine. And maybe Xilonen does better, right? But first and foremost, it doesn't matter because their difference is not too big, right? But then here comes the next part. right? We need to understand the content that we are facing, right? So let's talk about this team, right? Very popular team, the Chao International team, right? With Tartaglia, Bennett, and Xiangling. Now, obviously, Kazuha is the one that everyone pairs up with for the longest time. And so people are saying, okay, you know what? Xilonen does the same thing. Maybe Xilonen will be better. And maybe she is. I don't know. I have not seen the numbers. I've not seen the stats, whatever. So maybe Xilonen by now in terms of like theory crafting, right, is better. But here's the thing. Chao International is a team that is built for AoE content, for multi-wave content, for content where there's more than like 2 or 3 enemies, right? And in those kind of content, right, if you want to maximize your damage, you want your enemies to be as close to you as possible or close to each other as possible, right? So that you're able to output the highest amount of damage because you're hitting everybody at the same time. Whereas if you are like, if the enemies are like at different parts of the map, right, or they're too far away from each other, then you're not maximizing your damage because you need to create more actions for less damage in total. And so in a case like this, while Xilonen may have the better numbers, I would prefer Kazuha because Kazuha is able to group and able to allow Xiangling and Tartaglia to maximize their damage without moving like from screen to screen, right? From edge to edge across the map. And I think that is something that really people have to really take note that yes, I can calculate, I can have the spreadsheets, I can say that this team is better on paper. But practicality, in practical sense, right? If they do not output that theoretical number, then what's the point of these spreadsheets and the numbers? And I think that's really important to take note when you're really building up with, or when you're really not rebuilding up your teams. Yes, it is, but especially with Kazuha versus Xilonen, it's very, very important to take that into consideration because yes, Xilonen can give you the shred easier, Xilonen can give you more damage easier, but if your enemies are flying across the map and would you be putting on the same damage that you've calculated on your spreadsheets? No. Whereas Kazuha will give you a closer value because Kazuha is able to bring everyone together and is able to crowd control the enemy. And I think that that's really, really important for us to really mind as we are building up our teams, right? The debate between Kazuha and Xilonen is not about a number. It's not about a numbers game. It is about the team, right? And I think that's really the important thing that I want to talk about. All right. So, for example, let's go back to the Arlecchino team, right? Let's say I was facing a single like a boss opponent, right? Let's say I was facing the Ruined Drake boss. Let's say I was facing like the Mechanical Array. Then in that case, maybe this team is better because I'm able to shred easier because it's a single target boss, right? I wouldn't have problems running around, right, for the most part. But let's say I was trying to clear floor 11 chamber 1, the one with the monolith, the AoE content and stuff, a lot of enemies, then I would appreciate grouping a lot more. And that's where Kazuha really shines as a teammate for Arlecchino, for Yelan. So really it is not about like, oh, this is a better number, but really about whether they fit the comp and whether they fit the enemies that you're facing. And I think that's really the difference that I hope that this video really emphasizes. Now, there's some team comps where like Xilonen is like 100% better, right? Especially with Navia, right? With Navia, Xilonen 100% better, right? So really play around. In my opinion, right? Single target content, Xilonen does a lot better. Whereas for AoE content, Kazuha does a lot better in that regard. Now, obviously, the enemy also matters. If you're facing against like let's say for example, you're facing against the Topa, the one that's always Hydro, then maybe Xilonen is a lot better, right? Because it's harder to swirl. Maybe if you're facing like the Pyro Rocks, then maybe it'll be the same as well, right? The Pyro Rocks that you see in like I don't know what they're called, right? let's say I can find the enemy glossary. But you know, right, the molten lava rocks, these guys, the avatars of lava, right, definitely be a lot easier to use it with Xilonen. But that being said, right, the differences are so small that I don't think that Kazuha is being power crap. I think in total they can work together and they can work in despite each other being available, right? You are not wasting it if you pull for both, right? It's fine if you have both. Now, if you are thinking about pulling for Xilonen, should you? If you don't have Kazuha, fine. If you have Kazuha, then you think of the team comps. For example, if you have Navia, then yes, I think that's pretty solid. But the only thing I would advise against is pulling Xilonen to upgrade Kazuha, because I think that you could use that resources for something else like a new character or even a weapon or even a C1, right? Something to take note of, right? The difference between Kazuha and Xilonen is basically quality of life and like quality of life, right? And just higher uptime on your elemental shred and a bit of healing, right? So really evaluate your teams, evaluate your roster, and see whether you are able to, whether Xilonen makes a very big improvement, right? Yes, you can have Neuvillette, and you can have Neuvillette with Furina, Kazuha, and Xilonen. But if you're using, let's say you're using Zhongli before, you're doing like tons of damage, that is not really worth it as well. So really take into mind like what is on your roster and what changes it will make if you were to pull that character, right? In this case, as I mentioned, I prefer Xilonen in more single target combat and also against enemies that can't be swirled, like the Topa, right? Whereas like I think that the grouping that comes in a live action, not live action, but in an action RPG game like Genshin, Kazuha's grouping is definitely very important and shouldn't be overlooked because, you know, he may not have the better numbers. So really, in today's video, I really want to talk about this, right? In my testing, right, in me playing with everyone, I think, oh shit, it's already 4 o'clock. It's already 4 a.m. Damn. It's late, guys. But yeah, in this video, I really want to talk about Xilonen, right? I think she's a great character. And even after everything that I've said, right? If let's say, for example, she doesn't belong on your account, right? She doesn't improve your account. But let's say you think that Xilonen is beautiful. You think that Xilonen is hot. And you want to pull for her, and yeah, go ahead, right? No one's stopping you, right? Waifu over matter all the time, right? That being said, if you really want to maximize your account, I think she's good, but I don't think she is unnecessary. I think that's the important message, right? But pull for her if you like it, right? My biggest advice, go to the test trial and try it out, right? See whether you like her if you're not pulled for her. That being said, after spending time with her for 14 days, I think that she's a great unit. I don't think she's a necessary unit, right? But I think that her biggest strength is that she is an easy to use support, right? She is, I wouldn't say brain dead, but she doesn't require a lot of effort to get the outcome. And I think that that's great. She is also pretty great at traversal. And I think that it's important, right? Especially in an open world game. So in all honesty, right? In total, great unit, S tier, right? But she is not something that you must pull because you need to. And so, yeah, that comes to the end of this video. Hopefully this will be a great series going forward, and hopefully I can come up with some things moving down the line. Like I said, Xilonen is great for Overworld. She's great in the team comps, but don't just fool her because she is a better Kazuha. Okay, and I think that's really the message that I wanted to share. And yeah, once again, thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, thumbs up, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good YouTube stuff. And do note that I stream live on Twitch. Link down the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully, if I make a sequel, another, like I spent this amount of time with the character, hopefully it's not 2 weeks, right? Where the banner's almost ending, right? But anyways, thank you all for being here once again. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, good to yourselves and the people around you. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.